Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Andrew at Microphonic Designs here today at Richardson High School once again with Mr. Austin Von Kalow, the director of percussion, and he and I have just set a time record for getting a front ensemble of this size cabled up in a single day. I think it took us maybe 6 hours from about 10:30 a.m. to about 4:30, and then we spent the last 30 minutes troubleshooting some software stuff that we did get figured out. We'll look at that when we get there. Let's take a look at their setup this year. It's very similar to how it was last year, and with a lot of the infrastructure work done at that point in time, it was just a lot faster today. So we were working with 5 marimbas up front. We've got 5 vibes in the back that are kind of split up between the glockenspiel bells and the xylo. And we actually changed our minds this morning. We decided, you know what, we're not going to put a mic on the xylo. So we've got a set of cables running across those 2 instruments. You'll see that here in a minute. And then we've got the electronics set up over in this corner where we have synth 1, synth 2, and then a single mallet station this time around. So last year they had a second mallet station over this way, so only one of them this time. And then we also have not put on the diagram, we've got 7 channels of Shure QLXD wireless, and they are hooked together with an Ethernet switch, or a network switch. And then we also have 5 stage mics. Now we're not 100% sure if we're going to be like using all 5 of these again, but knowing their program designer, coordinator, and like what he likes to do, probably going to be using all 5. So we've got 5 stage mics ready to go and ready to be deployed on their own modular snake wherever they need to go. So that's the plan. And just to give you a look at like what the spreadsheets looked like, they were kind of a lot. I had a lot going on here. This is the input list. Normally I just have the mixer stuff, but we had to take into account some other things. And here's the cabling list. A lot of cables for this group, and a good majority, like we probably have just as many cables in the synth cart as we do on the keyboards, and you'll see why here in just a bit. On the mixer, we've got on input layer number 1, this is a TF5 by the way, we've got all 5 marimbas all together. Here's the xylophone that's not going to be used. We've got 5 vibraphones in purple, 8 channels of electronics coming from over that way. And you may be thinking, well, if they have 1 synth, 2 synth, and a mallet station, so 2 synths and a mallet station, where is the 4th channel coming from? Well, yes, you are correct. We've got synth 1, synth 2, the mallet station left and right. The model number is EM1. And then we have Cubase left and right. So what exactly is that? Well, this group, their program coordinator, he's a good friend of mine, Mr. Kent Summerher. He wants them to have the ability to send any microphone sound source into the laptop, into Cubase, which is the software he has them using for the sound design stuff, the synths, and for digital signal processing. So basically using special effect reverbs and very specific types of reverb effects and stuff on the soloists. He wants to be able to send any soloist to the computer and then back through the main system. And the reason, well, I'll get into some of the details later, but because of that, that's one of the main reasons we have such a complicated setup in the synth cart. So just know that the Cubase L and R for this group is really, it's the return from the laptop of any type of special effects that are put on any of the soloist mics, whether that's one of those 5 or all 5 or any of these 7 wireless. And so I'll get into explaining the routing here in just a little bit. To finish up the tour of the mixer, we've got the 5 stage mics here in this block. We've got 3 open channels, and on input layer number 2, we have 8 channels of QLXD, but again, we got 7 units, so really it's just 7, but I prepped the 8th one just in case. Now on the TF5, what's really cool about this is that there are 32 inputs on the back, and Richardson is making use of 2 of the TO 1608D stage boxes. So the first 32 inputs that we have to work with are over in the synth cart, which means that here in the TF, for like these QLXD channels, we can feed them from local input number 1. So let me show you this on the back of the board. On the back here, you'll see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then number 8 is blank right now. These are just plugged into the back of the board. These are coming from our QLXD wireless receiver units. And because of the way that this works with the Dante card and all of that, we're able to take advantage of those extra channels, channels 33 through 40 in the TF5. Now, they don't have as capable of an EQ or anything, but because we're going to be sending, or likely sending those signals to the laptop and back through the mixer, we can do all the EQ work in the laptop for the most part. I mean, the main thing that I'm concerned about in the mixer is having the low cut filter or the high pass filter, the HPF. And we do have access to that. And so I'll kind of show you for the wireless channels, right? I've got, you'll see here, all of those low cuts activated. And so that's the main thing. And they do at least give us one more band to work with here to move around. So, you know, I could use that at a rehearsal to shape the tone a little bit, but most of the tone shaping is going to be done likely in the computer with the EQ over there, because those EQs are going to be a lot more powerful than what we have in the TF anyway. So that said, because we have this whole system where we can send audio from any of these channels into the computer for digital processing, it was important to me that they have redundancy. So this system is set up in the way that it is so that if something happens to the computer, and if they need to run a show without the computer, they will still be able to push these sliders up and get soloist sound, even if it's super basic. The sends, so the extra output that we have these going through to the laptop, we feed using these buttons. So for example, my buddy Kent, he's able to pick up to 8 different types of special effects, and we can simply press the button for special effect number 1 over here and push up whatever microphone we want to send to that special effect. So he could have, like, I know one of his favorites is the Valhalla Shimmer Verb. He could have that on effect slot number 1 in the computer. We could have a standard concert hall for effect number 2 in the computer, and so forth, all the way down. And all that Austin is going to have to do during rehearsal is figure out, okay, where in the show do we want to put a special effect on a soloist? And then he hits one of these buttons, and then for that scene, he pushes that mic up, saves it, and then there we go. Super easy. We were doing it a little bit different last year, but this year the light bulb kind of went off of like, oh yeah, let's just select our effects and put them in here, and then whatever instrument we need to send to that effect, we can do that quite with a lot of flexibility quite easily using this system. So on that note, normally what I would do from here is take a look at the keyboard cabling, but we'll do that last because I mean, y'all know me. My cabling is super consistent between every setup that I do. The interesting thing here is really what's going on in the synth cart. The last thing I'll note about up here before we move to the synth cart is just the freaking awesome Mackie speakers. Y'all saw us get these out of the boxes last year. These were brand new for Richardson. But just we were bumping some tunes today and they just sound so good. You also saw these in one of the previous videos before this one at Little Elm, just with different carts. But I love these Mackie speakers, dude. They sound so good, and they're really good speakers. So if you're looking to upgrade to one of these like awesome Mackie array sets, get in touch because I got you. I can get you set up with the goods, with the right stuff. So here's the synth cart, and we're going to take a look at the TO boxes real quick. We've got the first box, unit ID number 1 and unit ID number 2 down there, and it looks like a lot's going on. We have the red snake here, which is what's fed from marimbas 1 through 4, so marimbas 1, 2, 3, and 4. We can see here, y'all know my color coding, high, low, high, low, high, low, and so forth. Underneath that, we have the white snake, which is fed from the back row. So this one is carrying a marimba 5, and then all 5 vibraphones. So we're using almost all the channels. Again, I had accounted for the Xylo in that, which is plugged in, but we're just not using that channel. So that's what this snake carries. Underneath that, so this row right here, these are all of the channels coming from Cubase, from the computer. So we have 8 outputs coming from our Scarlett 18i8 or 18i20, and those cables just come around from the back of this unit and plug in right here. This entire third row here is all electronic. So the red over here, this is synth 1 left and right, this is synth 2 left and right, this is the mallet station left and right, and then we have the Cubase, the processed audio from our soloist mics left and right. And then below that down here, this is the blue snake. This is what goes to the sideline microphones. So wherever those 5 mics are going to be on the field, whether it's the 50 or over on side 1 or something like that, this is where they're going to plug into. And you may be able to see down there, we only have 5 of them color-coded: red, white, blue, yellow, and green. So that's the input. So that's all of the stuff going into the TF, the Yamaha like ecosystem here. Coming out of the Yamaha ecosystem, so you'll see I've got the first 6 channels here and the first 2 down here. So by default, thanks to quick config mode, the way that these are set up is that auxiliary buses 1 through 6 feed TO1608D box number 1 outputs 1 through 6. So those buttons that I was pressing when I was explaining, hey, we're able to send microphones to a special effect, these are where those signals are going to come out of. So if we wanted to send a microphone to special effect number 1, that aux bus number 1 is going to come out of output number 1 right here. Aux bus number 8 by default is routed down here to number 2. And the main stereo left and right by default is routed to 7 and 8 on both boxes. So instead of trying to do some custom configuration, I just moved these two yellows down here. So this is special effect number 7 and number 8, whatever those are going to be, if anything at all. We just have the ability to do it. And all 8 of these are going into this box. So if you can sort of imagine the route that one of these microphones, like the signal, is going to travel. Let's say we have a student that plays into that mic. It goes through the snake into the blue snake here. It goes into the mixer, and then it's going to come out one of these special effect buses into the red box. It's going to get processed, with special effects in the computer. It's going to come back out of the red box and then back into the mixer through yellow and double yellow right here. And then finally, it's going to come out of the speakers. Is that a lot? It kind of is. It's a lot more than I would normally do for a marching band, but the staff here at Richardson, they can handle it. My buddy Kent, I know what he wants and what he's talking about at this point because I've worked with several of his groups over the last however many years. So I have a good idea of what it is that he wants them to be able to do. And in this particular case, we can kind of go all out with the setup. And the back of the synth cart, I'll kind of show it to you. It's not pretty, but here's all the inputs and outputs. So the 1/4 inch right here, these are outputs. And then there's our other 6 XLR inputs from the TF. So the Yamaha TF outputs that we looked at on the front come here. And then these right here are all the outputs. And I got a comment on last year's video. It asked, why didn't you just use the Dante virtual sound card to do all of this stuff? That's a valid point. Yes, we could have used the Dante virtual sound card. However, the reason that we have this Scarlett 18i20 is because before we were doing all of this routing stuff, we were trying to get stuff into Cubase. So before, 2 years ago, in 2023, what we were doing was basically taking all of the wireless mics and going straight from the wireless receiver into the Scarlett box. So we had in a synth cart, next to this one was the wireless, and then the outputs from those receivers were going into the Scarlett instead of the Yamaha first. And so the reason that we've got this is because the routing was a little bit different in the beginning, and I'm not about to tell them to buy the sound card when we already have this. So that's why we're using the 18i20. It's because we already had it before we figured out how to do this redundant system where if the computer goes down, they can still get soloist sound. So that's the idea of what's going on. And then they've got key station 88 over here for the Synth 2 controller and the mount station under the blanket. That's real basic. That's just a USB going back and forth. Not a big deal. In terms of keyboards, you guys have seen me do this before. We've got the first 4 marimbas in their own pod. Marimbas 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the most interesting aspect of this here, again, is just the cabling. Y'all know we keep it clean, and Austin actually helped me get a good number of the keyboards done. And so we were able to knock out the cabling real fast, and he handled all the color coding today, thank goodness. So while I was working on these modular snake keyboards and some of the ones with a larger cable count. He was getting color coding done, and then he stepped in and helped me get the cabling on the rest of them. So that's how we're doing it. Again, you guys can see how the cables just kind of flow into one another. And then back here, marimba 5, we have a pair of jumper cables once again. So this one's color-coded orange and double orange right here. And we're gonna take the jumper cables from here and just go straight back, boom, to right here, vibe number 3, which is where the other modular snake is. So you'll see how I've got it kind of tied on there. Yep, looking good. And then the cables on the xylophone and the bells are just jumper cables. There's no mics on these, so the cables just go across. So that came together really nicely. And then there we go, just like that. This is Austin scaling, looks good. Mr. V, if you're his student out there watching this. And that's about it. So really, this is, I would say, one of the 2 most complex setups, really probably the most complex setup of the year, because I was sort of doing the same thing with JB Alexander for the last few years, but we're probably not doing that again this year because we're working on some upgrades for them where we're not going to be doing that. But here at Richardson, that's what we got, that's what we're doing, and I'm pretty stoked about it. So if you've got questions, comments, or hopefully no concerns, but if you do have concerns, drop them in the comments below. If you would like help figuring out, hopefully nothing this complex, but if you're working on a project like this for your band, get in touch. I'm happy to help out. You can reach out at microphonicdesigns.com/contact. I've got a form you can fill out where we can, email back and forth, or if you're a fan of phone calls, I've got like a Google Calendar thing on there. You can book a phone call with me, and I do my best to keep that up to date with like my availability and all that. But either way, reach out. I'd love to help, and that includes obviously like the services, the setup, but don't forget Microphonic Designs, we're a retailer as well. Those speakers and the carts, guess where they got them? That's right, your boy. So if you would like assistance upgrading, adding, or replacing anything that you have, get in touch because I would love to make sure that you spend your already limited budget on the correct things that are going to last a long time and that are going to be suitable for what your program needs. Okay, y'all, till next time, take care. Peace.